Welcome to It's a Piece of Cake. I'm Lima, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make a really quick last minute Santa hat. So this is very easy to make, and if you've left it last minute, then this is the video for you. So you're going to get a mixing bowl. Any cake mixing bowl would work with this. You're going to spray it with a bit of non-stick cooking spray and then fill it with batter. Now, depending on how big you want your cake to be, that's how much batter put in there. So if you want it to be a small mini cake, just don't put so much batter. If you want it to be a big large cake, then obviously put a lot more batter. Pop it in the oven and bake that cake. Once it's baked, let it cool, and it should just release away from your mixing bowl. And because we've used that mixing bowl, it's going to give us a really nice shape, so we've got no carving to do. But of course you're going to cut it into layers, fill it with ganache, buttercream, whatever you're going to be filling it with, and stack them up. So obviously you can just split it in half and just fill one half and then stack it up. But I've cut it in about 3 pieces. So in between each one I'm going to fill it with ganache and just also neaten up the sides with ganache as well. And then once you've done the entire cake, you're going to pop it in the fridge and let it set. Now, I love using my mixing bowl for anything that you need, like a cone kind of shape, because carving looks easy, but when it comes to actually carving it, you do need a bit of experience. So if you've left it last minute, it's so much easier to use your mixing bowl because it gives you that perfect shape. Whenever I make dress cakes, I always use my mixing bowl as well. And if you don't have a cake mixing bowl, you can use any oven safe glass bowl if you had that as well. Anything that kind of gives you that shape, you can use that as long as it's oven safe. So now that I've filled all my layers, I'm going to just give it a nice coat, just to give it a crumb coat, just to lock in any crumbs. And then once I've done that, this is just a rough coat, you don't have to get this perfect. We're going to pop that in the fridge and let that firm up. Because the cake, this is a sponge cake, so it's quite soft and you don't want to work it too much because it might lose its shape. So then I'm going to just put it in its board, get a board that fits nicely to the size that you've made, and I'm going to pop it in the fridge and let that firm up. And then once it has firmed up, I'm going to repeat it and do the second coat. So I'm going to add a lot more ganache here. And now that the cake has chilled, it's a lot easier to work with. So always, whenever you're making a cake, make sure you just chill it when you do the last coat. It just makes it easier. Now I'm using one of my favorite tools, and I recommend this for anyone that hasn't got it. It's like these little plastic scrapers that you can get from your cake decorating shop, and I absolutely love using them whenever I'm putting a ganache layer. Like, everyone's got a tool, a caking tool that is their favorite. This would have to be mine. I just love the fact that it's so flexible. I think it's called a flexi smoother, I'm not really sure, but I got it in a pack of 3 different shapes it came in, and it's just always been my favorite to smooth out ganache, buttercream. It's just so effortlessly just smooths it all out really easily, especially if it's like an awkward shape like this. It's just, even with tiered cakes. So once you've done that, let it chill in the fridge again, and then roll out some red fondant. So this is just pre-coloured bought red fondant that I've just rolled out. And then I'm going to just apply, you can apply water or piping gel now to your crusted cake, because your buttercream or ganache is going to crust and you need something for that fondant to stick on. So I've just put some piping gel, but like I said, piping gel and water would work. And then drape your fondant over it. And all you're going to do with the fondant, when you drape it over your cake, all you have to do is gently just keep releasing away the fondant, and just take your time to go down and just keep moving it until you get all those pleats out of it, so you've got a nice smooth fondant. This takes a little bit of practice, but it is a lot easier if you're not overwhelmed and if you don't have that fear of working with fondant. There's a lot of people that are scared of fondant and intimidated by working with it, but it is so easy. Kind of just think like you're working with Play-Doh, and if you have that fear out of your mind, it's so easy to actually just work with fondant. All I'm doing is taking all the pleats out gently. It's very flexible fondant, so you can just move it around and stretch it till you have a nice smooth fondant over your cake. And then you're going to use a cake smoother, just to smooth out all that fondant. If your first base cover, so when we've done the ganache or buttercream, if that's nice and smooth, the fondant is going to come out smoother. But if that's got a lot of bumps and lumps on it and it's not straight, then the fondant can't hide that. So just take more time when you're ganaching your cake or buttercreaming your cake than the fondant, because if you've done that nice, the fondant will just be really easy. Once you've got the fondant nice and smooth onto your cake, and then when you're happy with it, just use a knife just to cut away any excess fondant that you will have on the bottom. Just cut that away, and then you've got that beautiful shape, which I think is perfect if you're making dresses or here for our Santa hat. Now I've just sprayed my fondant with a little bit of non-stick cooking spray, and I find for me that's the easiest way to get rid of all the excess corn flour that I have when I rolled out my fondant. So you could brush it off with a pastry brush if you like, but I find that with a non-stick cooking spray it just gives me much more cleaner, no kind of whites peeking through. And then we're going to make the little bit of the hat that kind of falls off the side. And all I'm doing is just really eyeballing just a piece of fondant. Just a little piece of fondant is all you need, and then all you do is you kind of throw it over the top of the hat and just kind of get yourself the closest shape you can. But if you have left this last minute like me, you're obviously not going to be that fussed with it. So all I've done is just kind of maneuvered it around just to kind of give it that kind of falling effect. And I'm not going to take too much time on it, because this is a tutorial for someone that has left it last minute and wants a Santa hat. So I've just kind of done it as quick as I can, something simple that you can achieve at home. So that little piece of fondant, all I've done is just put it on top, let it fall down how it wants to, and just kind of give it a bit of a texture. Like I'm just going to move it around to give it like a fabric feel. And then when you're happy with it, you can attach it with a little bit of piping gel or water. But I'm just going to use that non-stick cooking spray because it's quite moist and wet to let that stick on. And then I'm just going to clean it up one more time with that non-stick cooking spray. Let that dry for a few hours so that it's no longer tacky. And then I'm going to roll out a white piece of fondant, and then I'm going to get a ruler just to cut out a nice long rectangle shape that we can put on the bottom of our hat. So if you didn't want to put fondant, you can just add on the bottom just some marshmallow if you wanted to. You could add coconut, so you could just brush it with some piping gel, add the coconut, or you could brush it with white chocolate and add marshmallows. There's a lot of ways you can do the bottom, or you could just cut out a strip of fondant, which is what I'm doing. So when you've got a little piece of strip of fondant, mine's roughly around 3 centimeters in width, and then I'm just going to add a bit of piping gel to the bottom of my hat, and then use that piping gel as you glue. You can use water as well, so if you don't have piping gel, water would work just as fine. And then you just basically get your long piece of fondant now and put it all around the bottom of the hat. And we've pretty much got our Santa hat. So it's a very, as you can see, really easy, perfect for last minute. And then we've got that, but like I said, use marshmallow or coconut if you don't want to add the fondant there. And then to make the little ball on his hat, we're going to have a little bit of a piece of fondant, which I've added. I think in America it's called CMC, but we call it here Tylose powder. And what that does is that makes the fondant really firm and hard very quickly. So all you do is you roll out that little ball, let it set for about 20 minutes to half an hour, and that firms up so the fondant can hold its shape, and then you can pretty much use it straight away. So about half an hour, give it about half an hour just to sit, and then you'll have that nice ball shape. Now to stick it onto your hat, you can use, well, I'm using compound chocolate, you can use royal icing, you could have inserted it with a wooden skewer and inserted it in. I first put white chocolate just on the top, but then I wanted more support because it's going to be transported, this cake. So then I'm going to add some also on the side of the ball. So add it on both corners and then let that chocolate set, and then once it has set, that hat just sticks into place. So as you guys saw, this is a very easy, quick, last minute Santa hat. Anyone can really do this cake. You don't need much of an experience with cake decorating to do this cake. It's very easy and basic. If you are enjoying these videos, let me know by giving me a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and bye for now.